Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Janca, and today I want to talk to you about using artificial intelligence safely. So, what am I going to talk about? Why we need to use AI safely, what can go wrong, and then how we could do better. Um, if we had more time, we would talk about cool ways to use AI for security, but unfortunately, I showed up a bit late, went a bit long, so many things, so we're going to probably skip this, but we'll see what we get to. So, who am I? I'm Tanya Janca. This is the mandatory About Me slide where we tell you about ourselves to try to show you I'm pretty competent. Maybe you should stay. I give secure coding training at my little tiny company, She Hacks Purple Consulting. I wrote two best-selling textbooks about security. I worked in tech a really long time. I've founded some things. My own companies, open source projects, online mentoring movements, nonprofits. I'm an advisor for two startups. I'm a contributor to the OWASP Top 10. We just released one this month, a new one, which you might want to check out. I write for Stack Overflow. I'm a board member. I do all sorts of things, and hopefully, most of all, you're like, she seems tolerable. So instead of me, let's talk about safety. So ever since ChatGPT went public, I've seen so many organizations using the AI, using all the AIs in really not safe ways. They give it too much control. They allow it to make decisions without oversight. They don't validate the results they get from it. They give it super sensitive data that they would normally never share with another person. And what's happening is predictably bad results. This has happened. I've seen this throughout my career where we come up with like a new, how do I word this? There's a new technology and we just completely forget ourselves and we do everything super insecurely and we don't do all the steps that we know that we should do and it's a problem. It's a problem. I don't want us to panic though. So I think that AI is an amazingly powerful tool. And just like a hammer could be used for violence, 99.999% of the time we use it to build cool stuff. And so I don't want us to panic. This talk is only about some of the ways we can use AI safely in software development. If you want to get into, oh my gosh, AI, I'm panicking, a book you might want to see or read is called Uncontrollable by my friend Darren McKee, and it's very Skynet, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to do is cover high level things to do with software development only. So this is my favorite OSI model. And so we're going to talk about risks when using AI, safe and effective ways to use AI, and then resources to learn more. And again, we'll see we'll see about so we'll do number one and I'll have a lot of number two, but then I had all these extra things and we'll see about those. Okay, so risks. So I'm going to cover the risks and then we're going to just dive into each one. So we're just going to overview them here and then we're going to dive in. So don't stress out when you're like, she's going too fast. I know. So what are the risks? Decision making, agency, sensitive data, writing code, copyright and licensing, which is hard, validation of what this thing says to you. So the first risk and thing that I'm seeing the most often, well, I'm seeing it a lot, let's say that, is people giving the AI the capability of making decisions without oversight. So I've seen some of them where they have the same AI check the AI, and it's like, am I right? Yeah, I'm right. So in my opinion, my technical opinion, every decision that AI makes should have some other part of your code that is not controlled by that same AI validate each important decision. So um, I do not think we should allow AI to make decisions on behalf of businesses or individuals itself. important decisions. So an example would be we're going to give a refund to a customer. We're going to change the date of a plane ticket. We're going to delete the account of a misbehaving user. If AI is deciding to do these things for you, you, in my opinion, should have a second process that validates the decision before it's final. An example of this is I write for Stack Overflow and I got permanently banned by the AI from Stack Overflow. And I teased them about it. And I did break some rules, but I wasn't being like wildly inappropriate. I decided to answer. So I was working at a company that makes a product, and I decided to answer all of the questions, like all 27 of the questions on all of Stack Overflow in one day. And that looked bot-like. And then also one of the questions, because I answer security questions, was how to suppress a security finding from a security tool. And I looked at it and I looked at the code. I'm like, no, man, you have cross-site scripting. Here's the code to fix your code. So like you have a big vulnerability. That's the problem. Here, I solved it for you. And I got so many downvotes. You didn't answer his question. And then I posted a link and then it was like, you're banned for life. And I was like, what? And, then I called my boss and my boss was like, I'll unban you. Don't post links. Also, like, you didn't answer his question. I'm like, but he's like, those are the rules, right? But here's the thing is like, do I feel that was a mistake in banning me for life, right? Like, no second chances, no nothing, no, like, you're cooled off for a bit. And like, you wouldn't usually block your own employee from your own thing, right? And so we need to be really careful when we're allowing it to make decisions that aren't reversible. It's not like it's going to give me a 5-minute timeout. That was supposed to be a lifetime ban. And like I was going to say I'd probably live, but would I? Um, but we need to be, there needs to be a secondary thing that decides these things so we don't have mistakes. And we're seeing this more and more. But anyway, I'm going to continue because I love to talk. Giving the AI agency. So by agency, I mean control. So we should not allow the AI to have agency control over other systems, organizations, data, but especially itself. That's where, the Terminator movies and all of the other sci-fi movies where the AI becomes evil and takes over, that's where they come from. It's always where the AI has been given agency. Right now, researchers openly admit they literally don't know how AI models work and they don't understand why it has hallucinations. They can't explain it. And so why would we give it complete control over something that's important if we don't know? Um, it seems so I'm not trying to like frighten everyone when I say like this is how the Terminator movies happen, but I'm trying to avoid really obvious, very blatantly obvious mistakes. And that is a mistake. Allowing a system that we do not fully understand to control itself, make major decisions on its behalf, is obviously going to result in something bad. We have already seen this repeatedly over and over and over again. Okay, sharing sensitive data with the AI. So we should not share sensitive data with the AI unless, first of all, we own and control that data, or we have consent of our organization and especially the security or privacy team of your organization before you share this data. I fell into this trap myself. I was doing, my company was being acquired, and I had to write something called marketing copy, which is like that stuff you see in advertisements. And I'm not very strong at writing such things. I am a nerd. I'm better at writing nerdy things. And they're like, we want you to write like a press release. And I was like, oh, how do I do that? So I wrote up the facts and then I asked ChatGPT to change it. Well, the acquisition was still private. I had given sensitive data to the AI. And I was just asking it to correct my grammar and like make it more markety sounding. And as soon as I pressed the button, I was like, oh, what have I done? And that wasn't that secret. So the acquisition had actually already taken place. We'd already signed, everything legal had happened. And people had actually already guessed on the internet, oh, is Samgra buying WeHack Purple? Like they'd guessed on my social media. So it's not like it was like the best kept secret at that point. But recently, I went to an AI summit and a guy was talking about how a very large company had bought another quite large company for hundreds of millions. WeHack Purple was not hundreds of millions of dollars, spoiler alert. Um, we were a small company bought by a slightly bigger company, but it was still exciting for me. But the point is that all these employees kept asking, how much will my stock be worth? How much will my stock be worth? To the point where the AI started telling investors, you should invest in this company because it's going to be acquired by that company on this date. And it changed the acquisition. So it's very serious. The AI knows who you are when you use it. And when you ask it like a health question, you're essentially saying, I or someone I love, someone very close to me, has these symptoms. Help me fix them. Like it's smart. It understands context if you give it to them. So would you tell the whole world about that health condition? And like when you make this decision, you need to be judging for yourself, like how sensitive is this information? If this gets out, will this be the end of the world for me? So perhaps think twice and make the decision deliberately when you put personal data and ask the security and or privacy team when it's professional data. Okay, so using code directly from the AI. If you're asking the AI to write code for you, you need to review and understand that code and make sure that it meets your standards and your organization standards before you commit it, and especially before you put it into production. Like before you save something into the code repository, I believe that you should understand it. And if you don't understand it, what are you doing? Um, Also on top of that, I believe you should run a static application security testing tool, static analysis tool to look for bugs in the code you wrote, and then a software composition analysis tool to look for to see if any of your dependencies, if those are not doing okay, um, and just to double check there's not something you missed. You wouldn't take some random image from Docker Hub or code randomly from like the internet and just copy it in, not understand it, and then upload it to prod, would you? I hope the answer is no. It's like eating something out of the garbage, just putting it into your mouth. Um, so I know that it's easier to not understand and just copy and paste, it compiles, let's go. But it's always easy to do a bad job. We want to do a great job. We want to do great work. We want to create high quality apps, and that means secure. And so if you don't understand how it works, you could ask a colleague or friend to walk you through it. You can actually ask the AI to walk you through the code, and you can be like, oh, yes, this all makes sense now. But if it doesn't actually make sense, still, you're not done yet, right? So unless you understand it, I recommend you do not use that code. Copyright and licensing violations. So this is very difficult, but if you can try to make sure that the AI has not broken copyright in what it gives you. So if it is vibe coding an entire app, maybe check to make sure that that app doesn't already exist on the internet with a quick search. Um, like if it's writing a couple lines of code for you, you're going to be fine. But if you've asked it to develop an entire application, like the entire thing for you, is like especially like a big thing like a video game. Like right now, there are people out there getting it to develop the entire video game for them. You probably want to check to make sure no one has a video game that does that exact same thing as you. Um, this is a harder one, like to validate, and you might want to talk to the lawyers where you work, but we want to avoid copyright violations if we can. We also want to validate that if it created it for us, with us, do we own that copyright? Does the business now own that copyright? Because each country is different, so you want to check on that too. So ask at your office what copyright and or licensing issues might exist and be careful. Um, Risk six, not validating every single thing from the AI. Um, you should always double check anything that the AI produces, even if you're tired and it was right the past 6 times in a row. I need you to trust me on this one. So I am launching like a new secure coding learning platform thing next year. And I was writing up the roadmap for my company and I was getting the AI to help me do it. I'm not always great at formal writing. I'm not always great at formatting. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And so then I had a draft and I was like, listen, I know I've repeated myself because it was like 56 pages at this point. And I'm like, I know I covered the launch in 3 different places. Like, could you help me take those parts and paste them all into the same part? Like, don't remove anything unless it's like a duplicate. And I was like, could you help? And it's like, sure. It completely rewrote it so it was a different business plan. It's like, what is this? Right? So, and I remember I was like, okay, so delete that garbage you did. Let's try this again. So, like, anywhere where I'm talking about launch, put it under launch. Anywhere where I'm talking about, let's put it under this. Because 56 pages, like dragging and dropping, was a bit of work, right? And it still like wrote up like a new business plan where the product was different. And I was like, what is, I was like, okay, Claude, go home and go to sleep. You're drunk, right? And like it just like couldn't work that day. Or maybe that was too big for it or whatnot. But I ended up like manually doing some things. And then the next day I ended up being like, okay, can we try this again? Like just remove duplicates with me, like rearrange the document with me a bit at a time. And eventually it did like a better job. But I was just like, I don't trust you anymore. So every single thing you need to validate, every fact could be wrong. It's like, oh, these 12 papers talk about this. None of those papers exist. Even though like the past 12 things that you looked at were correct. Go look up every fact because it sometimes will lie to you. Okay. I'm seeing comments in the chat and I'm like, Okay, so very quickly, safe and effective ways to use AI because we just have 4 minutes left. So writing, code, vulnerabilities, threat models, design comments, and bug fixes. So we can let the AI help us write everything, but we just need to be careful. So every time we need to write like a user story, documentation, anything else that's writing, that's part of our job, it can help us. So for instance, like you're like, I wrote this up. Can you help me make the tone more formal? Can you help me make the tone more friendly? Can you help me make the tone sound like I'm not super ticked off at the help desk person and be professional? Because right now I know it's very snarky and I need to unsnark this. Then you read it and make sure you feel proud and confident to send that piece of writing to another human. So we always check it. The first draft might be quite imperfect, but it can help. Use the AI to write code safely. So you can ask it, like, what's the syntax for this? Or, oh, I have a bug here. What is happening? And it's like a great brainstorming partner. It's amazing. But you always, like I said, have to read and understand that code, check it. Like, does this look safe? Does this look secure? Is this doing the thing I want? Does it meet all the requirements? Then you run your scanners and check it again. Then it goes through all the rest of the steps that you would do. We never just commit something straight from the AI. We can use it to find vulnerabilities. So if you don't have a stack analysis tool, you can actually say, like, can you please look over this code to see if it's secure? And it will find some things. If you ask it very specific issues, so like let's say, because I worked on the new OWASP top 10 risks to web apps, what you could do is say, go look for the OWASP top 10 and see if you find it in here. It's not going to be perfect. It's not as good just like the raw AI with the stack analysis, like as a stack analysis tool, but it will help. It will find things and help you improve your code. And if you don't have any money for security tools, this is the next next best thing. Ask it for threat models. So if you're performing threat modeling exercises, which is a thing I talk about a lot, you can ask it to come up with threats to your app. Like you explain what it does and then ask it, right? Give it, assuming you have consent from your security and privacy team to do so. You could upload a DRD, a design document, whatever, and just be like, do you see potential threats? Now, some of the threats it's going to come up with, you're like, but some will be good. Ask the AI to help you design. Again, you must have consent to share this information. Usually, what has happened here is that your organization has an AI license for a specific model where it's not sharing information back with the big company, blah, 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 such that you are allowed to do this. But you can ask it for help with design. You could ask it to help add comments to your code. I don't add enough comments to my code, which is how I came up with this one, right? Because then I would write code for demos and then I'd be like giving training and then I'd have to remember what I meant when I wrote that weeks ago. And so I started learning to add more comments and the AI can help with that too. You can ask it to help you fix bugs, right? You always have to review the results it gives you and make sure you understand them, but there's so many things that it can do for you. Just it sounds weird, but just be creative. Like each thing that you're going to do, think about if you could use this new cool tool. And so now we are briefly going to look at some resources to learn more. Actually, first, a conclusion. So we learned about why safety matters when using AI and what some of the risks are to look out for. We talked about very briefly some ideas of how we could use AI safely to kind of to improve our work. And I have a lot more thoughts on this. There's only so much you can say in 21 minutes. I have a lot of ideas on vibe coding and creating frameworks for better security, etc. But as a first drop in the bucket, I hope that this is helpful. And so now a couple of resources very quickly. So I wrote some books. I might be biased, but me and my mom think they're pretty good. Every Monday on Twitter, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and Mastodon, InfoSec Exchange, I run a mentor matching program. So if you want to join information security or InfoSec or cybersecurity, as it is called, um, check it out. You might be able to find a professional mentor. I do stuff like this all the time. I have so many things, a newsletter, a blog, a website, a YouTube, a TikTok, a blah, 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 blah. If you look up SheX Purple, that's me. And with that, I want to say thank you. And oh, I don't work at SemGrep and haven't in quite a while, but they're still nice people. I work for myself now. But anyway, um, thank you very much. And with that, I wanted to ask, hey, Michael, if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Wonder Woman. From now on, I call you Wonder Woman. Um, well, I don't see questions. Actually, I had a question.
Mhm.
You overview so many risks, so most likely there are companies that develop tools to help us coping with those risks, like a tool that check this and that. Do you,
Do
so
I have recommendations?
yeah, any recommendation or is anything you can share with us?
So right now there's several companies creating what they call AI guardrails. I don't have a specific company to
Right.
recommend yet because they're all so like racing towards the finish line. But having guardrails so it will stop an employee and say like, hey, that's sensitive information that shouldn't go in here, or like,
Mhm.
um, hey, like you've got this code, don't forget, like you need to still run these tools, etc. So the guardrails things are fairly interesting. Um, Honestly, I would suggest creating a list of prompts that match your secure coding guideline. And I was updating these slides because I realized I hadn't given this presentation since I worked at SemGrep, which was August. So not that long ago, but I wanted to add some other things in here, some other free resources. So I have a secure coding guideline. If you just go to securecodingguideline.com, you can get it and it's free. You just download it. But basically, what you could do is create a prompt from each one and
Mhm.
run those prompts. So it's like create this code, run these prompts to check against each one of these things. Now, give me the code that's updated. That would help a lot as a starter. I haven't turned it into prompts yet because I've been busy.
Mm.
I feel like that's something you could do. I feel like you could make a reg server with examples of like really, really secure code that you know's had pen tests and other things done on it and be like, reference these models first. Or, if you had secure architecture and design concepts that you wanted to follow, like compiling all sorts of things into a reg server, having it access that, then having it go do the prompts. And you know, if you had an MPC server for instance, stack analysis, software composition analysis, scanning for secrets, scanning your infrastructure as code, again, like all of the, like running all of that as well would also help you create better code. I I was working on a framework for like like software development with AI because what I've been doing for a long time is helping people design their application security programs. And basically we have to change all of those now because of AI. We have to update them. So, but I'm not done yet. Sorry. When I'm done, I'll release it.